good morning and welcome to the Morning Sri Lanka. You're here with me, Amaya, and it is another brand new morning, of course, and we always bring to you the best of what's happening around the country at the moment. And we've brought to you so many guests who speak on different things, on maybe it's lifestyle or health or sports, food, nutrition. We've kind of covered everything, but of course sports is something that we really do love here on MTV Sports. So we have a very sporty guest with us this morning, and he's not very tall, but he's done a lot of great things in the field of cricket, and he's here to share all of his experiences with us. I've been having a lovely chat with him, and he's a really nice dude, so I think you guys should meet him as well. We have on the show with us this morning Dominic Bandara. Good morning, Dominic.
Hello.
Hi. So you're on TV now and you're here, you're a star.
Yeah.
Shall we tell everyone why you're a star?
Yeah.
Alright, so Dominic is actually the vice captain of the
Victorian cricket team, under 13s.
Okay, under 13 Victorian cricket team, and you guys did something very special this year, right?
Yeah. We won the national championship for under 13 around the whole of Australia.
So that's the Australian National Championships that you guys won.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing thing. And this is cricket, of course.
Yeah.
Dominic is a cricketer, and we have him here with us on the show this morning. Okay, so let's talk about how you started out playing cricket. How did you start out?
I was about 6 or 7 and playing my first matches in Warrnambool, at the bottom of Australia.
And then your father is someone who might have influenced you as well, right?
Yeah, he played first class cricket for Sri Lanka, and
So I think we should give out his name as well.
Yeah, Jaiwira Bandara.
So Jaiwira Bandara is Dominic's father, and I've heard that he's coaching now.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
He's a good coach?
Yeah, takes me to the nets nearly every night when I want him to.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the practice sessions like with your father as your coach?
Oh, yeah, they're alright.
Is it like a little bit more pressure than usual?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, but no, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with your father around as well.
Yeah.
So your father definitely influenced you.
Yeah.
And what are the other things that you love about cricket?
Meeting the people, meeting all my friends for cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. So your teammates, now these guys are all the people who won the Australian National Championships for under 13, right?
Yeah.
So let's hear about your team as well.
We had a pretty strong team, and we went through the national championships undefeated.
And now you're part Sri Lankan, and I've heard that there are some other Sri Lankans on the team as well.
There's 2 other Sri Lankans on the team.
And I'm sure, so you guys are making Sri Lanka proud, right? All the way there in Victoria, Australia.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, the sort of things that you have to do every day, what are practices like when it comes to cricket? Because I'm definitely not a cricketer, so I wouldn't know, but it's a bit different, right?
Yeah, sort of like just making sure your technique's right and you're like hitting the ball right and timing it.
Because now you're a batsman.
Yeah, batsman.
Aren't you? So you had some great performances as well during this national tournament. So let's tell everyone about some of the good performances that you had.
I made 60 not out in one of the games to win us the national championship.
Wow. Okay, so that's a lot of good stuff happening there, and you even scored almost a century, wasn't it, when you were here in Sri Lanka the last time?
Yeah, 96 not out.
96 not out. Oh, what did you feel like when you got out just 4 runs short of the century? But 96 is a great score.
Yeah. It was I can hardly remember. It was so hot.
Yeah, is Victoria cold?
Yeah, where I live it's very cold.
Really?
Almost snowing.
So, although you're part Sri Lanka, when you come down to Sri Lanka, it must be like...
Yeah, but it's good though.
It's good. Yeah, of course it is. Alright, so when you're over there, I'm sure that now training schedules and things like that, you have your studies as well. How do you sort of balance those 2 things out?
Yeah, sort of try and do an even amount of both. And
So, and it's all about kind of time management.
Yeah.
But you're 13 years old, you know what? You have time to catch up on all of those things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But cricket is something you love, of course. But let's talk about some of your favorite players, maybe. Who inspires you?
I like Kumar Sangakkara.
Very good choice there. All right. I'm sure you've made all the viewers happy this morning as well. So, Kumar Sangakkara is one of your idols, is he?
Yeah.
And he's a really good cricketer, isn't he? You've been watching you watched the South Africa series which happened earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really great series to watch. So Kumar Sangakkara, who else?
I like Murali. He's good because I bowl off spin.
Yeah.
Try and,
Okay, so you bowl as well.
yeah, a little bit.
It's always good to keep in touch with everything, right?
Yeah.
So, what are your when it comes to the people who support you?
Yeah.
My sister is somewhere around in the studio as well. She's watching this show, and let's talk about the support you get from your family. Like, are your parents always there at the game?
Yeah, it's good. They come to every game and support me.
Yeah.
And like they even had banners and stuff for the Victorian game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you like that, or you're like, Mom, don't bring a banner to the game?
It's a bit weird, but it's alright.
It's cool, right? Yeah, you have a lot of support. So they come for every game and they cheer you on. So that's great. And your sister, she does the same as well?
Yeah.
How old is she?
I've got two sisters. She's 10 and my other sister's 7.
Okay, so they turn up at all the games, and were they there at the finals as well?
Yeah, they were there. Yeah.
So let's talk about that tournament now. That's a really great thing that you guys did, right?
Yeah.
That you became the national champions of Australia when it came to under-13 cricket, and you being the vice captain of the team, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
So what's your role like as the vice captain?
It's sort of to help the captain out, like if he's not seeing things, like to help him, like to set the field and...
Okay. So that's a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah.
And now there are so many states in Australia, right? But what was the toughest match that you guys had to face?
New South Wales. I went into bat and we needed 8 of the last 8 balls, and the other guy was up the other end, and I told him to just hit 2 4s, so I didn't have to bat, and then he hit him and we won.
Wow, so you just have to tell your teammates to do these things and they get like 2 4s.
Yeah.
That's very easy. I wish that happened with our national team sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's really great. So that's kind of tough, but it's a bit, you're under pressure, right?
Yeah.
When you go through
because he was, there was a good bowler bowling, and we said the other guy was going to bowl the next over was sort of hard to hit, so we thought if we could get in this over, then...
Wow, very, very smart.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all about strategy and thinking and planning out. So do you guys like analyze the opposing team and find out their weak spots?
It's sort of hard because they're in different states, so we don't really know them, but
yeah, until they really come to the match that day, right?
So we're watching him like warm up and all that.
Yeah, yes. So do you have like spy operations happening there? No, nothing
no,
like
not
that?
really.
So what about, so now you're playing under-13 cricket in Victoria, Australia, and you've even played some matches here in Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah.
So you're here on holiday,
holiday.
right now. So any cricketing plans on holiday?
Yeah, I've got a couple matches coming up that I'm going to play.
And future plans now when it comes to how you're going to go on in the sport. Now you're 13 years old. I'm sure that you've got some plans about where you want to go. So what's your dream when it comes to cricket?
It's obviously to play for my country, Sri Lanka or Australia. Be happy to play for both.
Maybe you can be a player who played for both national teams. Just play there for a little while and then come to Sri Lanka and stay on here. So maybe you'll be replacing Kumar Sangakkara in the future?
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Maybe with the
hard shoes to fill though.
Hard shoes to fill, that is very true. But you know what? He filled a lot of other great shoes as well. And there are other young players just like you who will be coming up to fill his shoes. So Dominic, it was really, really great having a chat with you, and congratulations on your really great victory. And it's really great to know, right, that a Sri Lankan is making us proud all the way over there in Victoria, Australia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us on the show. It was a really great pleasure. There we go, a very young guest who's achieved a lot of things as a Sri Lankan, and he's maybe far away in another country, but of course he's making all of us proud, and it's great that he was here to share his story with us on Good Morning Sri Lanka this morning. So thank you once again, Dominic, and we're going for a very short break with a song, but don't go anywhere because we're going to be having a musical morning on Good Morning Sri Lanka once we get back, so you don't want to miss that. Sri Lanka, welcome back to the show. Now, before the break, I was speaking to Dominic Bandara, an up-and-coming player and he's making us proud all the way there in Australia as a Sri Lankan, and I'm sure that you'd like to hear his story. You love hearing his story as well. But speaking on the topic of sports, now all of you know that right now there is a major sporting event happening in which Sri Lanka is of course a participant. Anupama is with me on the show this morning as well. She got in for this segment because she's someone who knows a bit. She's been following the games, haven't you, Anupama?
Yes, a bit from here and there, but then most of the things that we discussed before the show began. I'm glad to be with you again, Amaya. Thank you very much for welcoming me.
The Commonwealth Games 2014.
Yes, it's very exciting. We have a lot of updates, but to give us those updates,
we have someone who is with us. I'm sure his face is very familiar to you as well. He's been a part of News First as well as Sports First now, and he's been he along with the rest of the News First team have been giving you all the live updates right here on MTV Sports about exactly what's been happening at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. And we have with us Zulfick Farsan.
Hi.
Morning, Zulfick.
Good morning. How are you?
Just had to get an intellectual of this area. Yes. You know, with valid information, because our information could be a tad bit biased.
Yes, and completely incorrect actually, which is putting it more correctly, I think. But Zulfick, okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
So you've been covering the Glasgow Games so far.
Yes, I have.
And now I'm sure that you've covered other Commonwealth Games as well.
Yes.
When it comes to your career as a newscaster. So let's speak about how Team Sri Lanka is doing these days.
Well, to start off frankly, Team Sri Lanka has got off to a sort of disappointing start.
Right.
Okay.
So, we've got over 100 competitors and only one medal thus far. That's Sudesh Piris in weightlifting.
Oh, I see.
Now, last night, 3 boxers, Manju Annarachi, Madhushan Gamage and Madhuranga Patrage were competing in their respective weight classes. However, their opponents managed to beat them because the points are all in favor of them. Like Madhushan Gamage went on with an Indian, Devendran Laishram, who is an Indian army soldier.
Oh dear.
Oh.
So the battle was a bit tough, but the Indian won the game 3-2. Then Manju Annarachi went against a South African youngster, an up and coming South African boxer. However, maybe his moves were kind of off the technique, but managed to get the points.
Oh.
So Manju lost 3-0, and so did Madhuranga Patrige against Guyana.
Wow. So again, I mean, these are not sort of developed nations or first world countries that Sri Lanka lost against. I think that must really be a blow as well for us, because I think boxing is one of the sports where we really put our hopes in our Sri Lankan players, isn't it?
But Zulfick, do you think they performed well? Do you think they gave their full effort in performance?
I mean, watching our guys going to those bouts, yes, definitely our guys gave their best. But maybe here and there, their opponents managed to find their weak point and gain the upper hand. No one knows, but the judges were in favor of their opponents.
I see. Okay, so boxing is an unpredictable game in that way. But now you mentioned that we won a silver medal in weightlifting, and any other prospects for weightlifting? Because again, this is some area where Sri Lanka has shone before, isn't it?
Yes. Sudesh Piris has won that medal first in weightlifting. Now in weightlifting, we'll have to wait and see how the things proceed. Now, however, early on today, we had a competitor taking part in the 400 meters women's sprint event.
Okay.
So we'll have to wait and see what the results are going to be.
So we are giving you all the best updates, the live and most reliable updates on MTV Sports from the Commonwealth Glasgow Games. But now in the field of rugby, I heard there was some interesting developments.
It was a very interesting game.
Anupama, have you heard about it too, right?
Oh yes, we went against actually one of the best teams in the entire world.
So maybe you can give us a few more details about how our rugby team is doing?
Our rugby sevens team, well, we are captained by Fazil Magwija, one of the finest players in Sri Lankan rugby.
Of course.
Well, although the captain managed to steer his team to lock horns against these good teams against us, here and there, there were slight mishaps, and then, they overcame our team. But however, we managed to come back with a good victory with the shield.
I see, alright. So good things for Sri Lanka, of course. But when it comes to how we did last time, do you have any statistics about how Sri Lanka, the medal table, the points table at the end of the last Commonwealth Games, how we did?
Well, during the last Commonwealth Games, we had good prospects. We had, Manju Annarachi managed to bag that medal before it was stripped off him for doping. But even this time around, when Manju Annarachi came in, the commentary was all about him coming back. Taking that break after being stripped off, he's coming back once again to prove himself.
Oh dear.
So that was a big tension there, like Manju Annarachi is in the ring. Now if Manju won that match against the South African, he would have gone head on with his final counterpart, the Welsh guy.
Who was there last time?
Who was there last time,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
So that would have been a very interesting match, and undoubtedly we would have got a medal there as well. But compared to last time, this time I think our team has to do a lot more better to at least come up the rankings.
Okay, and what about other sports such as athletics? Now the track events, do we have any hopes for that, and who's representing us when it comes to the track events?
Yes, right now I'll place my hopes on Chandrika Subhashini, who is taking part in the 400 meters sprint. Now she clocked a good timing and came in first in her respective heat.
Oh, I see, okay.
Now, during that heat, everyone was rooting for the Nigerian. Even the commentary, if you were listening to the commentary, everyone was talking about the Nigerian. But then, out of nowhere, Chandrika Subhashini in lane 8 comes in and takes it all away.
Wow, so yeah, I mean that's a great moment for Sri Lanka as
Exactly.
well. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but track events, usually you find that Africans or African Americans are favored. Is it something, is that a trend that you see a lot, or why is that? Do you know the reason?
I wouldn't call it a trend. No, there's a saying, that those who come through hardships know how it's done. So most of them say, the African nations are still developing nations, some are underdeveloped nations. Their kids need to travel long distances to school to get water, that their body gets used to such atmospheres and weather conditions.
For obstacles,
Exactly.
for that sort of challenge.
And biologically their bodies, you're saying, are more
So that is
prepared.
what a lot of other people are saying.
Okay.
So maybe that kind of, that those rumors come into play at such events.
And at the Asian Games as well. Now earlier we had the Asian Games also happening, but how are there athletes who competed at both levels who are now at the Commonwealth Games as well?
Yes, there are a few athletes, so all eyes are on them. Maybe they can come up and put on a good show and bring honor to the country, or maybe they might do their very best, record their personal best. Although they may lose, record their personal best, and be satisfied that I did something.
Of course, of course. And then there are field events. Now there is the javelin throw and discus, the part shot, things like that.
What
So
prospects do we see there?
yeah, are there any players that we should look out for?
Yes,
when
we have a
watching the
few,
games?
and javelin throw women's event, we have one competitor.
Okay.
So hopefully she's going to make us proud. She might set a personal best this time. Maybe she might come into a medal,
Oh.
because the lineup she's in, there are some good athletes against her, and there are those who are coming up, amateurs against her, but she might have a chance to come into the table.
Wow, okay, so then some names to look out for, especially when it comes to Sri Lankan athletes. But of course, regardless of whether you're looking out for Sri Lankan athletes or not, the Commonwealth Games is certainly a very exciting sporting event, and something that I'm sure all budding sportsmen also look forward to watching, because it brings together the best from all the Commonwealth countries into one sporting platform. So with that, we're going for a song just before the break, and we'll be back with you on Good Morning Sri Lanka.
Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. We are still with Zulfick and updating you about the excitement in Glasgow.
Yes, the Commonwealth Games 2014 happening in Glasgow, and you're getting all the live updates courtesy of the News First team here at MTV Sports. And I'm sure that if you are sporting fans, or if you're interested in what's happening around the world, then you have been following the games. Now we've given you some great updates about the silver medal that Sri Lanka has already won in weightlifting, and there might be more medals and more personal bests of each athlete coming up in the future as well. So we have Zulfick with us, and he's been educating us about what's been happening at the Commonwealth Games. Okay, Zulfick, so let's speak about, now you mentioned that there was a very interesting instance that happened in the swimming rounds. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, at the Aquatic Center, it was a really heartwarming moment for all of us at the team as well, because K. Kumarasiri was competing in a swimming event that's specially designated for the physically challenged.
Right.
Okay.
So when his fellow competitors and himself got into the pool and started competing. His competitors were way better than him, and they managed to keep a big lead on him, probably about 75 to 100 meters in this 200 meters event. So when his competitors finished, Kumarasamy had the right, if he wished, he could forfeit and stop. But however, to show that the true sportsmanship, Kumarasamy did not stop. The marshals asked him, does he want to stop? He refused to comment, and he kept on swimming until he finished his event. Now what took me by surprise was the crowd in Glasgow just got up and gave a standing ovation to the Sri Lankan who showed the true spirit of sportsmanship.
Amazing.
That must have been an amazing moment. And of course, if you had been watching MTV Sports, then you would have seen that on the highlights as well. And it's such a heartwarming moment. Now, there are other athletes, right, who are differently abled, who are taking part in the games. And even from Sri Lanka, are there other athletes?
Yes, there were two who competed yesterday in discus throw.
Okay.
I think they were amputees.
Right.
And even in that event, there was a Nigerian, if I may comment on that. There was a Nigerian athlete who did not come with a prosthetic leg. He just came with one leg and two crutches. And he took the crowd by surprise when he threw away both his crutches and stood on one leg and managed to balance himself while he threw the discus at a distance of 35 meters.
Wow.
So that's like amazing, isn't it? I mean, so many people going past the disability and really showing their
that's
colors.
the beauty about sports events. Now, whenever we see these kind of annual or sports events that happen around the world, we see that it's not only about competition. It's also about sportsmanship. It's also about being human and being courageous. I think that's the beauty of having such a sports event as the Commonwealth Games. It's actually been a quite sporty year, hasn't it? I mean, from football to Commonwealth, with such a small break. But going further than that, I think Amaya, what made me really curious is that when it comes to sports, we always concentrate on nations. We cheer for Sri Lankans. But then, is there anything that we can do as an audience, as viewers, to encourage our team in sort of a virtual or some sort of way?
There is one possibility now. Social media, Twitter is a huge buzz these days with so many things happening at the Commonwealth Games. You can use the hashtag Commonwealth Games 2014, and then you can support your team. You can say, go Sri Lanka, come on Sri Lanka, you can do it. Even you can send letters to your favorite sportsman, send him flowers, send him some cards.
Because I've seen that happening from all sort of nations. I mean, Sri Lankans, we should also do something like
that. And also, now we've been speaking about how Sri Lankan athletes have been doing, but let's talk about the overall point standings. What are the nations who are in front with the highest medal tally and things like that?
Well, right now in front, Australia is dominating.
Big surprise there, huh?
Australia is dominating. It's well set out there. They're dominating the swimming events a lot. And then England managed to surprise the audience and come up. They are leading in second place. Now the host nation Scotland is in third place.
That's amazing.
Now India, our neighbor, a powerful nation with a very high squad, with high morale, big in their numbers. They were way down, but now they managed to surpass Canada. And come into fourth place.
Wow. Really? So India, big brother, is in fourth place, aren't they? So there are so many surprises along the way, right? Any other athletes who really stood out for you, especially from our region of the world?
Well, from our region, I would say the boxer from India, Laishram, who went against Madhushan. I mean, he looks like a real youngster, but he's experienced in his age. But he showed the spirit of sportsmanship, when Madhushan was battling it out. And when the bout was over, Laishram went up to him and I think, shook his hand and patted his head and said, good job. I think that caught my eye.
So it's sometimes before and after the match as well, you really experience these moments. Those can be the real memories of the Commonwealth Games. Now, News First will be covering the games in future as well. So let's talk about how our audience can keep updated.
Well, we start our updates daily at 11 a.m. sometimes at 12 in the afternoon. Depends on how the schedule is in Glasgow. And throughout the day, we will bring constant updates, uninterrupted constant updates, where you can watch your favorite sport on the Champion Network. That's MTV Sports, Susa TV and Shakti TV. We will show different events so you can catch all the action and even root for your favorite competitor.
Of course, that's something I'm sure all our viewers would love to do. And on a final note now, speaking about crazy, huge sporting events that are coming up, I think in 2015, right as we start off, the Cricket World Cup is coming up. So Zulfick, what about the coverage for that particular
What is wrong with this decade?
The World Cup has to come along, right? Once in 4 years.
Every single World Cup is like, anointed a specific way. But it's so much fun to have that sort of thing going on, because I think sports, just like music, makes everybody come together.
Exactly.
So when it comes to the Cricket World Cup, what are your plans? What do you think about the coverage that's upcoming for that?
I think plans are afoot to get that as well, and we will have all the news that you need. And most importantly, our only wish is that Sri Lanka wins.
Of course, isn't it? Now we were T20 champions. I think we can really show our colours, hopefully, to the 2015 World Cup as well. So the Commonwealth Games in full swing. Anupama, I think this segment has got me even more interested in the games. I must confess that I didn't follow it very religiously, Zulfick. So thank you so much
Updating us.
for being with us on the show and for giving us the updates. I know you must be feeling tired as well. You've been up all night giving the live updates on MTV Sports. And Anupama, has it made you a fan as well?
Yes. I'm just like you said, I'm going to keep in touch with what's happening in Glasgow, and of course, I'm going to keep an eye on what our precious Sri Lankans are up to there. Because like you said, it's very important to back up our team. It's very important to be virtually at least a good encouragement, a circle of good encouragement.
Of course. So get on Twitter, get on Facebook, support the Sri Lankan team. Thank you so much for being with us on the show this morning. It's been a sporty morning on Good Morning Sri Lanka, and we hope you enjoyed it as well. The best of what Sri Lankans have been up to all around the world. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for being with us.
We will see you soon.
I think we have a song by Yanni coming up for the end of the show.
All right, have a
start off the
beautiful day.
morning.